Even when it's cold out, you got to rep. I'm going to wear this thing throughout the entire situation, so if you don't like it. There was a time when I thoroughly enjoyed watching all the superhero shows on the CW. The first 2 seasons of Arrow had me fangirlish with myself more than I've ever been in my entire life. Then they finally made The Flash, which finally turned the believable and real world established in Arrow on its side, with the dude who can go from 0 to Mach 20 or some shit through the help of some pretty questionable CGI. One crossover leads to this, then to that. Next thing you know, they have 7 to 10 shows in the same shared multiverse thing. And in my honest opinion, the ones that I've watched have all gotten stale. They use the same exact camera angles, whether it's 2 people talking. Pretty much all the fight scenes have enough camera cuts to make me an epileptic. The last one was only half true. Arrow had some pretty badass fight scenes. Slade Wilson, Ra's al Ghul, when Oliver Queen actually fucking died, even though after Ra's stabbed him, he didn't have a stab wound on his chest. I'm particularly fond of the Ra's al Ghul fight, no matter how painfully obvious Matt Naples' stunt double is. There was none of that same Arrow music playing so that it ups the intensity. Dude, the show gave Oliver Queen his own personal Thanos at that point on the cliff. Now that I think about it, those 2 scenes are remarkably similar. Okay, now, I just finished The Punisher Season 2. And considering how I basically just kind of on the CW shows, I can't help but feel like I've just been treated to a 13-episode buffet of just good, raw, and realistic action from a comic book hero with no superpowers, amazing characters, and character development from damn near every character in the season 2, and one compelling story that all gets tied together through Frank Castle. You see, I think one of the biggest problems with the CW shows is that they're 23 episodes a season. That's way too fucking long. They'll air 9 episodes straight, go on a break for a month, then they'll air 6 more episodes, or episode 15, then they'll go on break for a month, then they'll air the last 8 episodes, which is 23, and those are 3 perfectly good chunks of stories waiting to be told and connected for just one overall good season of television. Arrow did this really well, right up until that cliff scene that I love so much. Copyright gets my ass pinned to a wall, so I have to sing over this clip. Okay, Arrow. I obviously have no idea how insanely difficult it would be to try to connect 23 42-minute long episodes of TV, considering the amount of characters that the DC has. That's why I think Netflix's peanut butter and Marvel's chocolate mixes so well. They have this formula down. 13 episodes, 1-hour episodes, and 5 minutes of John Bernthal's man-ass on my screen. You see, I'm not very happy that Netflix canceled Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and especially Daredevil. I've always compared Daredevil to Arrow more than anything, but I haven't seen Daredevil season 3 yet, so that's for another video. Regardless, they haven't taken away Jessica Jones, but once season 3 airs, I know that's getting canned. They haven't taken away the Defenders yet, technically, which is that's surprising. What if they did just one last team-up season? Come on. And I really don't know what they're going to do with the Punisher. Obviously, Marvel has the rights to his own character, so inevitably, it's probably going to get canceled so that Overlord Disney can reign supreme. That really sucks. It really sucks. Especially considering how just fucking epic season 2 is. I honestly can't remember how many times I've made public my man crush on John Bernthal. So it'll be no surprise when I say that, of course, dude, he kills it. He fucking kills it as Frank Castle. Robert Downey Jr. is Tony Stark. Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. Edward Norton is but for damn sure, John Bernthal is the Punisher. I was going to say Hugh Jackman is Wolverine, but honestly, my man Johnny Burney's been putting out some Grizzly Wolverine kind of vibes in both seasons of The Punisher, so just about every main character in the show I love. I love Amy, who started off as Rachel, who was some kind of con artist, eventually turned into Frank's daughter figure to look after. Without her being in trouble, there would be no season 2 that we got. But Donnie's back. She's just as badass and just as slightly crazy as she was in season 1. And her hair, just as every bit as wild as it is majestic. I love John Pilgrim. His character is always just so calm, so polite and just so goddamn creepy. You honestly can't predict what his character will ever do at any given moment. But what I like about his character the most is how parallel his path runs with Frank's. Both them and their families are victims of blackmail. Both men will stop at nothing to get what they want, and they both care about their mission passionately. Frank's mission being to get Amy as far away from this mess that she's in, and Pilgrim's mission to kill Amy and her friends because those old evil bastards have Pilgrim's son as blackmail, all just to try and hide their son's sexuality. That's how that goes. The show has so many themes that you could pull away from it, but what I love about that is that every theme is constant and repeated. One of them that I pulled, one of them specifically, was Pilgrim's line,
"He that sows the wind shall reap the whirlwind."
And how he used that to describe Frank in the finale. The camera cuts before we can see Pilgrim say anything else, but I can only imagine the Punisher being the whirlwind can only imply that John tried to reason with Frank and basically said, yeah, so Eliza has my kids as blackmail, and I'm pretty sure she pulled the plug on my wife just to try and motivate me to kill you and Amy more. So if you want, we could team up off camera, you can kill them, and then we both go our separate ways, yeah? And that's how you do a complex character who's also one of the main antagonists. Speaking of baddies, Billy fucking Russo. Don't let season 2 disillusion you from what Billy did to practically anyone in season 1. But God, I just can't help but feel so bad for him here, man. Another recurring theme in season 2 is the idea of redemption, or more generally, just changing. Frank is changing from a recluse to a man trying to open himself up to others and feelings and shit like that. Amy is perfect for that. They both have these voids in their lives that they use each other to fill, so they both submit to feeling for each other, even if only temporary. They submit to changing themselves. He's gonna say it.
You change your life.
Oh, shit, man. Madani struggles with the law thanks to Frank's pep talks and Billy turning her into a tweaker. She becomes more accepting of punishment. You like that? That's called branding right there. Curtis, who I love dearly and who cares about Frank like a brother, is sick of Frank's bullshit. Even though he will always have Frank's back, Curtis makes it very clear that he thinks the Punisher is better left a solo act when you're trying to live a gunfire-free lifestyle. It's a tongue twister. My point is, every character in this show changes, except Billy fucking Russo. He may not physically remember what he did or what was done to him, but in spite of that, when he fully recovered, he started doing the same exact things that got him a face only a mother could possibly love. Killing innocent people for money and power. He killed 3 women just to get inside Frank's mind. That's why when Billy is dying and he's trying to apologize to Frank for killing his family, Frank just shoots him.
Whatever I've done,
You see, Billy most certainly does not remember what evils he did to Frank, or Madani for that matter. But no matter what, the second that Frank found out that Billy had those 3 women executed, bam, season 1 Billy Russo is back. Just a little more clueless, a little more insane, scarred up. No hesitation. Frank shoots him before he can say I'm sorry. Frank knew that Billy hasn't changed in the slightest. But honestly, what's more interesting is Frank's big change from the end of season 1. He will never ever doubt himself pulling the trigger. In killing Billy Russo in the season 2 finale, Frank has changed. He sealed his fate as the Punisher. Testing faith, ideologies, and questioning the establishment of law and order are just some of the kinds of the themes you can pull from these Marvel Netflix shows. And it's not even mentioning their wider range of camera angles and their choice of music, which I found myself stuck on repeat about. Meanwhile, on Arrow seasons 1 through 5, Oliver Queen still can't decide if he should kill people or not. Iron Fist was a show that got a lot of hate that I don't think it deserved as much hate as it got. Iron Fist season 2 was so crazily better compared to its season 1. And let's just say by the time that I got to the ending of season 2, I found myself fangirling so hard for a character whose comic book I've never even looked at. TV doesn't have to get stale, but much like every character in The Punisher season 2, the producers over at the CW have to change. Like, it can't be for zero reason that their shows are dipping down in ratings and views, right? Marvel seems to know what they're doing with their characters. Like, they just have all these arcs laid out on a table, and they just auto connect the dots, and they're like, done. A whole season worth of character arcs, and even characters besides Frank too. If I were to try and locate the definitive beliefs of Felicity Smoke from Arrow, I would never finish this video essay. 1 minute she absolutely despises Oliver killing, the next minute she condones it, rinse and repeat. Madani does the same exact thing with Frank, but the show keeps it interesting because she's constantly being pushed to the edge and is reminded that sometimes it's really as simple as your life or theirs. Daredevil Season 2, the choir boy himself is questioning his own faith in God, which to him is quite literally everything. His no-killing rule revolves around the idea of redemption. Change. This theme of change is so prevalent. It even showed up 3 seasons ago on Frank Castle TV.
Yeah. And I've seen it.
What have you seen?
Redemption, Frank. It's real. And it's possible. The people you murdered deserve another chance.
What, to kill again, rape again? Is that what
No,
you
Frank,
want?
to try again, Frank.
Even though Marvel Netflix is a part of the greater MCU, I wouldn't have minded if they just always stayed separate. Dude, they essentially, if you do the math on how long, 13 hours of TV basically, it's like 7 movies. I did the math. Some Marvel Netflix shows more than other probably should have been 10 episode seasons, but it's better than 23. On top of all that, they were rated TVMA, which in the case of The Punisher, better be. Top it all off, they had extremely deep and complex characters that they took the time to explore and make relatable. That's the most important aspect right there. Everything I've said up until this point is basically what I've experienced watching all these shows. Arrow, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, The Defenders, Punisher. All these shows have one thing in common, that at one point I loved them. It's true to say that once I watched Daredevil, after already having watched Arrow, especially Daredevil Season 2, I like the Marvel Netflix shows more than the CW shows. The characters of these shows, the Marvel ones, they're written with one goal in mind. The writers know what those characters are going to end up as, how they start and how they end up. Additionally, the MA violence was enough to make the stakes of the Marvel Netflix shows almost too real. Like, there's weight behind the punches, and you can feel like it hurts when somebody gets stabbed. It hurts. You can feel that shit. The only thing I can do as a fan is hope that Disney Plus has room for all these characters, and also that they do them justice. They need to take care of my man's John Bernthal and his Punisher. Seriously, I'm just under 100% certain that Marvel will not be able to find themselves a better Punisher than the one that they have now. As far as comics go, DC has always had more fantastical stories and events. Just look at Crisis on Infinite Earth. That's happening in the 2019 CW crossover. Those stories don't really match with Arrow, the show Arrow, because I'm specifically talking about that. I also never read any of the Green Arrow's personal comics. I know he has some good ones, but I did read a Punisher comic where he tricks one of his fellow Vietnam soldiers to rape a Vietnamese woman in the Vietnam War, just to have her shot in the head while he's raping her, only to drown the dude who raped her later. Either way, I loved Arrow. As soon as I started season 6, I wasn't able to feel what I felt at the end of season 5, at the finale, with Arrow's second best villain. But Disney had to do Disney and take what was rightfully theirs away from the good people of Netflix. The only reason I'm really making this is because it's just a gut feeling that I have, that no matter if the Netflix canceled Heroes return for Disney Plus, the content won't be the same. I don't have any evidence to support this. This is just purely a feeling I have when I see the two words Disney and The Punisher next to each other. So yeah, that pretty much sums up my rant, I guess, about my life, I feel like. I actually never really said what I thought about The Punisher Season 2. It was good. It was pretty good. Easily the best season of Marvel TV I've seen. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe and all that fun stuff. And if you like videos like this, and I plan on making a lot more of these, so stick around. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. My mouth is so fucking dry right now. Jeez.